Welcome back to Echo. We're continuing Jenna's route. And I completely forgot what happened. We just got back from the diner, right? And Leo was acting a little weird. So yeah, that should be what happened. Okay then, let's continue. Ah, fuck! I find myself panting, sitting upright in the bed of our motel room. My phone is vibrating against the nightstand. Reaching over, I grab it and hit the answer button, my eyes still too hazy with sleep to read the caller ID. Hello? Hey. I catch the distinctive baritone rumble on the other end. Leo? That's me. You just waking up? I thought we were gonna film your project before we hit the mall. Squinting at the screen of the phone, I see that it's 9:02 a.m. Additionally, I realize that Jenna is staring at me from her bed, the covers up to her chest and her laptop on her lap. The sound of running water must mean that TJ's in the bathroom taking one of his legendarily long showers. I'm on spring break. I'm not really imposing too strict of a schedule on myself. I yawn, trying to snap my focus fully back into reality. Despite having slept for at least 10 hours, I don't feel well rested at all. Lazy otter. Alright, I just called to let you college kids know that I'll be at the motel in about 10 minutes. Great. What? Nothing. Chase? What? I'm hanging up now. I need to put on some clothes. I'll see. I set my phone back down on the nightstand and slide out of the bed. Still rubbing my eyes a bit, I dig through my duffel bag for a decent outfit. As I pull out a pair of khaki cargo shorts, I hear Jenna clear her throat. You're still dealing with sleep paralysis? Huh? You woke up swearing pretty loudly. I'm surprised TJ didn't leave from his shower to check up on you. I feel a twinge of embarrassment. Oh. I wasn't paralyzed this time, just regular bad dreams and such. Also, Leo will be here in 10 minutes, so you might want to get dressed. I see her type something quickly upon her laptop before shutting it. She slides it out of sight beneath the nightstand. I guess she doesn't trust the cleaning staff. Do you still see a therapist? Nah, I'm not sure the one in Peyton helped. And you know how things are at Pueblo. Everybody's got a mental disorder or something. It's trendy and no one takes you seriously. That's just stuff that Leo says. They have free counseling services available running out of the psychology department. You don't pay all the tuition money for nothing. You might as well use it. Well, do you go? I slide an old t-shirt with Southwestern Adventures printed on the front, the red dye having faded to pink at this point. No. But I don't suffer from hallucinations, sleep paralysis, or night terrors. Please tell me you're at least still taking your medication. None of that helped, so no. Chase. I catch the look that she gives me. It's different from her usual, almost parental stare. Her brow is lifted and she seems more than just concerned, a glimmer of worry present upon her face. I find myself turning away from her abruptly, as if I had seen something I shouldn't have. Trying to keep myself busy with something, I take a bagel from our little communal sack of food on the table, eating it over a napkin. I can hear TJ at this point trying to dry himself off in the bathroom with that cheap motel dryer. It isn't exactly a full-body machine like the ones back in Pueblo, so it takes forever. Especially someone furred like TJ. He turns into a damn poof ball after a minute in one of those things. Meanwhile, Jenna busies herself with getting dressed behind me. I don't know why this feels so awkward. Usually, Jenna is the one person I can speak with and not worry about this sort of thing. Wolfie boy is here. Just a minute. I step over towards the bathroom door. Hey TJ, Leo's at the door. Hurry up if you can. What? Leo is at the door. Oh, okay. Oh gosh, sorry. I'll hurry. Glancing over, I see the door handle jiggle. It's still locked. Not very patient, is he? He never was. The knocking continues and I hear Jenna sigh. She moves from the corner of her bed to the door, unlocking and opening it. It's at that point that I realize she isn't fully dressed yet. her body covered only by a pair of bra and panties. Leo starts to say something, but the words visibly catch in his throat as he realizes Jenna's state of undress. His jowls visibly thin along the contours of his muzzle, his auburn eyes flicking briefly towards me, then back at the fennec in front of him. You said you'd be here at 9:30, Leo. What's your problem? Leo blinks. What's my problem? Why are you naked? Because you wouldn't stop pounding on the door and I didn't want to deal with a creepy guy at the front desk yelling at us. Now wait outside, like Chase said. Just a minute. Butch. Jenna shuts the door. I stare awestruck, Jenna moving back to her suitcase of clothes and rifling through it. Chase, you want to bring that snack bag with us to the mall? I think I have some peanut butter pretzels in there. It takes her only a moment to slip on her familiar black tank top and shorts. She sits back on the edge of the bed, taking a small comb from one of the drawers and grooming her head fur, despite the fact that it looks perfectly already. TJ emerges from the bathroom, his fur not adequately combed and giving him a sort of lion's mane look that usually only punk guys go after. I smirk a little as I grab up the bag of food, TJ frowning at me self-consciously. I thought we were in a hurry. It's alright, TJ, don't worry. There's no need to rush. Don't we have to get Carl all birthday stuff before the party this afternoon, though? Yes, but this is Carl we're talking about. He doesn't wake up until like mid-afternoon. If we show up too early, he'll still be too groggy to realize what's happening. That's true. I'm not really sure how I feel about the whole early surprise party idea anyway. But it does give us an excuse to check out the comic book store at the mall, yeah? I want to visit the music store. There's a new Cherry Bloom album out. I'd like a physical copy. He pauses, TJ seeming to be in the midst of trying to push down his excess fluff. If we have time, I mean. Jenna nods, picking up her phone and purse before heading to the door. We follow. All I'm saying is that it's real stupid that you all drive all the way back here just to hang out with each other alone. Even Carl and Flynn are sticking together by themselves, eh? You all can do that when you three are not on break. Leo stares ahead, poking his tongue against it inside of his cheek, eyes squinted against the rising sun. His lecture is answered with resounding silence. Even TJ doesn't chime in. He clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth. This is primarily due to Flynn's behavior, you know. You should put your pride aside. Really? Oh god. I see TJ slide down some in his backseat. Leo insisted I sit shotgun, so I can't really hide as well. I'm saying that even if you don't like Flynn a whole lot right now, he wins if we can't fucking get over his tantrums. Flynn wins if we continue to put up with his awfulness. He's older than all of us and still acts like a child. He needs to apologize, to become aware that his actions have consequences. Ignoring the problem like it isn't there helps no one. That mindset is why I had you speak to Chase early on. Oh, God. You sure are insistent on that, aren't you? Sounds like you got an agenda or something. I see the wolf glancing sidelong towards me, his expression briefly softening. Why would I have an agenda to separate you and Chase? He's 21, he can make the decision on his own. I just didn't want to have to deal with you two prancing around it that whole time. Wouldn't be the first time, girly. TJ is practically on the floor at this point. He's so far down on his seat. Leo glances over at me again. I can tell my lack of response is starting to put him on edge. Honestly, though, I have no idea what to say. You two have decided on your relationship status, right? It's been years and you're still wearing that bracelet. Come on, let's not have this talk right now. We're trapped in a vehicle for the next 30 minutes. Don't worry, Otter. I'm not going to drive us over the guardrail or something. At this point, that might be preferable to continuing this conversation. Another silence follows. I can feel Jenna's expectant stare upon the back of my neck. Finally, Leo speaks up. I'm gonna put on some music, yeah? Any preferences? We don't get any stations but the Hillbilly Cavalcade, ones between Echo and Peyton. Well, I got a CD here. My curiosity piques. I see Leo look towards me, then nod at the glove box with a smirk, tugging at the corner of his muzzle. I think I know exactly what CD he's thinking of. I pulled a little clasp on the dashboard. Instead of a CD, a slew of balled up napkins fall into my lap. Oh, gross. I don't think much of it until I spy the most emptied bottle of water-based lube sitting in the glove box. Oh, gross. Ugh. Leo looks over, his eyes go wide. Puta madre, fuck. He makes a sound somewhere between a sigh and a nervous laughter. I forgot about that. Jenna cranes her head to see what the fuss is about. She lets out an amused grunt. That's nothing you haven't had your hands on before, Chase. Ugh. Leo's ears seem downright flushed at this point, pinned to the side of his head. Context is key, as they say, yeah? Don't worry, guys. There's a trash thing back here. TJ unbuckles and reaches forward, collecting at least 9 balled-up tissues in his paws. We all look in horror. TJ, put those down! Sure is empty. It is Wednesday morning. We're like the only car in the back parking lot, though. Kinda spooky. I ain't afraid of no parking lot. Leo smiles, looking back at us, waiting for an applause. Only thing that scares me anymore is college debt. Makes me glad I'm not going to college then. Don't say that. You stupid wolf. I catch up and walk alongside the others. It's strange seeing all these parking spaces completely unused. Why not? I mean, what if you want to make a career change? I'll join the army. That way if I do want to go back to school, it'll be real cheap with a whole GI Bill. That's what you think. It's unsettling that's the route so many have to take to get educated. Isn't like I got a nifty tribal association scholarship. I decide this is a good time to interject. I hope this place is actually open. We approach the doors, Leo looking back at us. Moment of truth. He tugs once. It doesn't budge. Stupid thing. It says push. The wolf nudges the door open with one arm. Oh yeah, I know, I was just... TJ giggles. Huh. I remember this place feeling so much bigger as a kid. Nowadays it feels kind of claustrophobic. Might just be Pueblo spoiling me though. Oh geez, not very busy at all. Everything's shuttered. Internet shopping exists now, Tej. Oh yeah, I figured. It's just kinda sad, that's all. The Lynx steps off towards one of the closed shops, a perforated steel roller shutter allowing just enough visibility to peek in. This used to be the mask shop. I don't think Carl needs any masks, unless he's got a secret bank robbing life we don't know about. Leo smiles lopsidedly. You know, he might actually want a Lucha wolf mask or something. I remember as a kid, Carl always spouted off random wrestling facts. The fake kind though, and most of it sounded more like a soap opera storyline than an actual sport. I never really got into it. It was still funny back whenever we were facing some problem and Carl's trademark motivational catchphrase was, suplex it. Internet modem not working, suplex it. Fishing pole all tangled in the line, suplex it. Having to deal with bullies, suplex them. It was the only thing Sydney and him both got along over. They don't really make those sort of things for Roundface's otter. I don't think he'll actually wear it, it's more of a collectible. He has enough of that sort of stuff already. His room is already a cluttered mess. We'll just be adding to the pile. Carl sent me a picture of it over Christmas, and it looks exactly the same as it did when we were in high school. It reminds him of better times, I suppose. Yes, but the issue is that he doesn't actually leave his room to make some new, better times for himself. He just dwells on nostalgia for video games I haven't touched since I was 12. Yard sailing a lot of that junk might do him some good. Leo chuckles, rubbing his forehead. Happy birthday, Carl. Instead of giving you a gift this year, we're selling your shit. I see Jenna smile, letting out an amused huff before moving on. I realize that TJ is still standing in front of the closed mask shop. Hey, you coming? I see him bristle, startled from the thought and pulled back into reality. Oh, yeah, sorry. I just knew a girl who worked here. I hope she's okay. I nod, not really sure what to say in response to that, as the feline catches up to us. We passed even more shuttered shops. Most of the pagodas are still open, but they're manned mainly by foreign dudes who are transfixed on their cell phones. I don't blame them either. In a place like this, the shift hours must drag on. I was fortunate enough to have a part-time job as a Peyton newspaper printer in high school, and it kept me pretty busy. Plus, I got to tell people that I worked for the city paper. Oh no, the music store is gone! That's probably the least surprising closure yet. I really like the physical stuff. My mom and dad sent me this vinyl record player for my birthday. My other dorm mates and I listen to it in the common room all the time. Tej, are you a hipster now? I see TJ blink, turning to look at Leo a little wide-eyed. What? No! I don't know, gatito. Cherry Bloom is pretty underground. They're one of the top-selling alternative music artists of the 2000s. Alternative is just another word for indie. I bet TJ has an aesthetic blog. What? I don't even know what that is, but yes, it sounds like something TJ would have. Jenna covers her muzzle with her paw, stifling her snicker. Usually she's the one to put a stop to any of the TJ ribbing going on, but I suppose this is lighthearted enough where she doesn't mind. It's okay, TJ. I enjoy having physical copies of things as well, especially now that I'm living alone at Pueblo. I don't have to worry about anyone going into my room and pawning my stuff. She says this so nonchalantly, but I remember how horrible and common that problem was for her. Leo and Flint help her install a lock on her door, but then her parents just took the door down itself away a week later. I'm not looking forward to having to pack it all up for the move to Weston though. I'll stop by and help you pack when the time comes. I say that with a bit more finality than intended, and it makes me feel a bit sad. It's like Jenna and I barely ever hung out while we had the chance, and now we might never again. That would be nice of you, Chase. Thank you. I force a smile and nod. She perks a brow in my direction. As TJ and Leo have a back and forth about how many times the Lynx has worn flannel, Jenna hangs back a little bit to walk alongside me. A wiry expression crosses her face and I feel her hip bump into my thigh. I nearly teeter over into a potted fern though. She has to manage to yank me back by the wrist. She's so short, but she certainly doesn't act like it in any way. The stereotype about meek phoenix is completely untrue. She wraps an arm around my waist and gives my side a bit of a squeeze, eliciting a small irk from yours truly. With a smirk plastered on my muzzle, I give one of her big old ears a flick. Something about this feels familiar. I watch Leo gesticulate wildly with his back turned in front of me, and I can feel my heart thud in my chest. After the musk-off incident, I'm pretty nervous to be doing any of this sort of thing around Leo, even if I know we were just joking around. Oh damn it. She lets go of my waist, pointing ahead. Sure enough, Birchfire Comics is completely gone. The interior dark and empty behind the chain-link roller grill. She sighs, crossing her arms over her chest. Her turquoise eyes shift sideward. Shit, that sucks. I'm sorry, Jenna. She straightens suddenly, then walks ahead of me. I'm gonna go with TJ and find him a bathroom to wash his paws. I see her walk up beside the two in front of us. She nudges TJ, saying something to him and Leo before they move off in the direction of the food court. I can't believe TJ is about 20 years old at this point and still gets babied by her. Leo is left standing there, his paws in his pockets and his face devoid of expression. He looks back at me, putting on a tepid smile. Wanna check out the family plex? I shrug non-committally. You guys said it yourself. There's no rush. I'm hit with realization and I furrow my brow up at him. You heard that? He just maintains a smile and beckons me along before turning. So... Despite being open, the plex certainly doesn't look like it should be. The carpet is musty, everything smells of mildew, the game machines are decades old, and the roller rink is scratched up to all hell. Leo stops next to the claw machine and fishes around in his pocket for quarters. What is an aesthetic blog? It takes me a moment to register what he's asking, and I can't help but be tickled a little bit by the question. I know for a fact that Leo spends a lot of time on the internet, but mainly on mainstream sites, sports, music, that sort of thing. It's like an ongoing online page that you update with stuff that sort of corresponds to your mood or feelings. He slides 2 quarters into the machine, then grabs the control stick. A few lights and the machine began to glow and flash, moving in a pattern around the glass window. About half of the bulbs are burned out. Oh, I have one of those. You do? Yeah, but it's mainly porn though. He makes a lewd, jerking motion with the controller stick, and I'm put into a slight unease noting that this machine is meant for children. Well, better than storing it all in your sample music folder, I suppose. I actually got caught with that, you know. Damn it, I told you! Yeah, Otter, I know. My little nephew Eduardo wanted to play games on my computer, and he started clicking around on the recent files thing. Oh my god, Leo, he's like 10! He furrows his brow, moving the crane some absent-mindedly. He's 13. His dad is your really religious brother too, right? Yeah. Jesus! Hey, ain't nearly as bad as getting caught cocking paw by the padres while watching Fox Horse gay porn. I cringe, covering my face. Gah. Hey, look. I pull my paw away from my face to see Leo point at something in the machine. I squint, and in the midst of the puzzle cubes and spinner toys, a boxed Lucha wolf figure rests. Leo shifts his gaze towards me and grins. I see him navigate the crane perpendicular with the box's point of rest. He hits the lowering button. The metal claw descends into the pit of cheap toys and clenches down upon the cardboard edge of the box. It tugs at it slightly, but it loses grasps and returns to its point of rest. Shit. Let me have a go. I reach into my back pocket for my wallet, but Leo is already putting 2 coins in. He gestures to the machine and tips an invisible hat in my direction. I find myself rolling my eyes a little as I take position. Thanks. I decide this time that I'm going to try to grab it from one of the corners. It might not be enough to pick it up completely, but it will pull it from the rest of the toy pile for future tries. Speaking of... I try to line up the crane just right, eyeing through the dusty glass for multiple angles to get a good idea of positioning. Now that I don't have you so anchored down, or however the fuck you want to see it as, I pause, my paw over the lower button. You let any other guys fuck you in Pueblo? Any big stallion types like the ones in your porn? The tone in his voice, it is definitely one that I haven't heard in years. It seems to carry an extra intense edge. Christ, Leo, no! You haven't had sex in 3 years? You must be really pent up, eh? He laughs breathily. I exhale, trying to keep my nerve. I go ahead and press the button, the crane lowering the claw down once again. You don't have to lie to me, yeah? I just want the truth. The claw pushes the box further down. It seems to have a different level of how low it starts grasping. However, it doesn't even grasp this time. The crane just keeps lowering the claw. We can't even see the figurine anymore, not that Leo is paying any attention. If you like girls now, you can tell me. I feel him now, his thighs against my behind, the familiar firmness upon the small of my back. I stare at the machine, the claw still hasn't come up yet. Leo? His paw takes my hip. Can you fuck off? What? Wow. Leo's paws are off me now. The wolf turns to face the others. How long have you two been here? Long enough. I was just trying to... I thought you were better than this sort of behavior, Leo. This was a private conversation, eh? That Chase clearly didn't want to be a part of. Well, I didn't know that until just now. He looks back at me, his eyes are wide and his shoulders are raised up high, the wolf visibly tense. I'm still reeling from what just happened, from Leo's behavior, from my own words. I say nothing. He sucks in his jowls, trying to put on a smile. Wait, we found a present for Carl in this crane machine here, a Lucha guy, yeah? TJ leans to peer into the machine. I don't see it. The claw and crane are back at their starting position. Yeah, well, Chula here besides me must have buried it somehow. Buried it? You know what I mean, Tej. He shrugs, visibly not knowing what Leo means. Jenna gives Leo a look I don't quite catch before stepping up to the machine. She squints, looking over at the pile of toys. No, I see it. That green and purple cardboard thing in the middle beneath the Mothman plushie. She reaches into her purse, sifting through it for a moment before finding 2 quarters. We all just sort of stand there, staring at her as the lights flash around the window, illuminating her features with golden glow. She fiddles with it a lot longer than I did, 30 seconds passing before she actually hits the lower button. The claw descends, pushing through the muck of plush and plastic. The sound of metal scraping the box is audible, even if it is difficult to see what's happening. Out of the corner of my eye, I can see that Leo's facade of a smile has completely dissipated. He looks at me, though his gaze is unfocused. It's like he's trying to numb himself, but it isn't working. The claw finally lifts, the metal prongs clutching the center mass of the figurine container and carrying it to a drop slot. With a satisfying clunk, the box falls in and the crane returns to its default position. Leo's form stiffens. He stares at the machine, Jenna, and then me again. He crosses his arms and I see his face start to shake, his eyes clenched shut. I'll be in the fucking van. As he leaves, Leo smacks a nearby pinball machine so hard the glass cracks. TJ stands there with his paws behind his head, maw agape. And so the real Leo reveals himself. Oh my goodness! TJ walks over to the pinball machine, bending down to gather up the splintered glass there is in the front of his shirt. Leo trudges off around the corner, though I can still hear his heavy footfalls for a while after. I wait a bit just to make sure that he's really gone. Jenna, meanwhile, steps up, handing me the boxed figurine. So, is there a crappy boardwalk game that you can't beat? Despite what just happened, I see a flicker, a smile tug at the corner of her lips. Well, all you have to do is hook the claw through where the cardboard meets the plastic. Her gaze shifts from the broken glass on the tacky carpet to the crane machine. That way it gets latched to the grooves of the box and doesn't drop. I had a lot of practice with my summer job, but you did most of the work for me by putting it into this position. Good job. She moves past me, patting my back some before kneeling down next to TJ and helping him clean up. I turn to face her again. You should be the one to give it to Carl. After all, you're the one that won it for him. No, then I'd be a hypocrite after what I said earlier about his clutter problem. He'll like this from you, though. Yeah, I guess. We should probably hurry before someone besides us decides to visit the mall. I peer around, checking to make sure we're the only people in here still. I see a coffee sitting at the service desk, so whoever is managing this place today might be back soon. And before Leo decides to drive off without us. He wouldn't do that. TJ gathers the glass from his shirt and places it in a small pile on the bench nearby. Jenna does the same. Yes, well, I'd rather not tempt the odds or the potential 30-mile outside city limits cab fare. Should we leave some money for the pinball machine repair? No, TJ, it's all right. None of us should have to deal with Leo's mess more than we already have. I rest my head against the passenger window as I balance the cheap fast food place red velvet cake in my lap. This is one of the most awkward car rides I've ever been in. Everyone is completely silent. TJ's previous attempts to lighten the mood have already received an idle grunt and nods. My stomach hurts and I have this nauseous feeling that keeps bubbling up whenever I think about what happened. Leo and I have squabbled in the past, sure, but never like this. Most of the time we fought about video game shit, politics, and sports. The worst that has ever gotten was when the topic of leaving Echo came up. I danced around answering it for as long as I could, and the truth came out in the worst way possible. But now is different. I've never felt such contempt for him before like I did when he pressed against me, interrogating me like I belonged to him. He probably thought that I just bent over against the crane machine for old time's sake. Watching him from the corner of my eyes now, I see him trying to keep his ears up, but they keep pinning back down. I was stuck in the shitty feeling of being pissed at Leo and ashamed of myself. I shouldn't have acted that way, but I know I just hurt him in a manner that I haven't done in a long time. Being stuck in a car with someone who is thinking about you and you're thinking about them, and you're both hurting, is hell. I really wish I brought my headphones. I stare out the window as we roll down the first dirt road into Echo. Every street, every corner, every trailer, and every tree has a memory attached to it. There, in the middle of the dusty parking lot that belonged to the corner market, is a tiny stand. That used to be where I'd get my ice cream after begging for $1 from my parents. It's crumbled and boarded up now, the paint peeling off in tiny chips. And there, in front of Duke's house, is a big flat rock that Jenna was standing on when she told me she was going to run away from home. I can still remember almost exactly how she was silhouetted against the red sunset behind her. And the old train yard where I kissed Leo for the first time after staying up all night at our first real party. I look over at Leo. He's got one hand on the wheel, glancing up at the rearview mirror occasionally. He hasn't so much as looked at me since the family plex, though. I see him staring at Jenna now. She catches his gaze, somehow returning it with an even more curt look. Carl probably isn't even awake yet. Do you have a plan if he doesn't answer the door? We'll call him then. And what if he doesn't answer his phone? Will you shatter the window too? Leo's muzzle pulls into a snarl. I hear him mutter something I can't quite discern. He shifts focus back on the road, his knuckles tight on the steering wheel. TJ gives another go at trying to fill the silence. Well, I don't think this will go too badly. It's just like we're hanging out. Nothing wrong with that. I agree, TJ. Though I do think this is perhaps a bit poorly planned. It should be an alright time. I haven't been to Carl's in so long. The car starts slowing down and I snap out of my daydreaming to look up, knowing that we definitely aren't at Carl's house yet. That's when I see a canine figure standing further up the side of the road. She's standing on the dirt that separates the road and the field in front of a broken, rusted, barbed wire fence. I think that's Janice. I look over at Leo and he seems concerned, his brow furrowed as he carefully steers the car right up next to the coyote. I can see why. She's crouched over, elbows on her knees, staring at the ground. Roll down your window, Chase. I do as he says, struggling a little with the old crank handle. What is she doing out here? We come to a stop next to the coyote, kicking up some dust. I don't know. Hey! TJ rolls down his window as well, waving. Hi, Janice! Leo leans over me and looks out at her. She's still looking at the ground. Everything, oh... Leo's voice cuts off in a weird, choking sound. I look at him, confused, then look back out the window and I can't help myself, but I gasp. It was hard to tell from this angle and all the dust kicked up by the van, but now I see that Janice has her pants down around her thighs. I can also see everything else. I sit back quickly and avert my eyes, looking at the windshield instead. Is she? Oh my god, Leo, keep going. Jenna whispers it, her voice strained. Oh, sorry, Leo stops talking and I chance a glance out the window again. Janice is looking at us now, and she's smiling. It's a weird smile because it isn't touching her eyes. It's unnerving. Leo stares back. Leo, let's just go. I hiss out the side of my mouth, staring at the windshield again. He seems reluctant to, though, looking concerned. Janice, do you need some help? His tone is one that you might use on a toddler or a crazy person. I don't hear her say anything except maybe a grunt. Leo bravely keeps trying, though. We can give you a Leo stops talking in time for me to hear a pattering sound, a sound I recognize well from being a kid pissing on the dirt roads of Echo. The van lurches forward, then resumes a smoother acceleration back onto the empty road. What in God's name? I don't know. Leo's frowning, looking as confused as I've ever seen him. Should I go back? No. I look back and see TJ covering his face. Maybe she could be having some kind of psychotic episode. Maybe she just really had to go. I'm like that after a ton of caffeine sometimes. TJ, I'm fairly certain you haven't peed yourself in front of anyone since Miss Mueller's Thanksgiving play. And you certainly weren't smiling at the audience while you were at it. Please don't talk about that now. I don't think so. Did you see the way she looked at me? She was probably just on something, isn't everyone? No, she doesn't do stuff like that. Well, maybe she does. We never know with people. Again, Leo doesn't say anything and neither does anyone else. We don't want to go back. And he's not here. Leo stabs the doorbell again, frustration etched across his face. I shift the red velvet cake in my grasp, trying to hold both it and the Lucha figurine. Not really wanting to do more shopping after the incident, Jenna, TJ, and Leo had just bought Peyton fast food as gifts. Carl doesn't get out to Peyton so much, so the three took it upon themselves to buy from 3 different locations. Leo got a couple of large and juicy vegan burgers. TJ bought those tofu tacos that are made from nacho cheese chips, and Jenna got him a bread bowl. Okay, Jenna aside, those other 2 things actually sound good. I squint, trying to look through the frosted glass on the sides of the door. Maybe he's getting high? He should still be able to hear. I mean, maybe he just doesn't want to. TJ holds up his phone. He's not answering his phone either. Leo knocks on the door hard, his biceps bulging. I could be studying, Chase could be finishing his project, and you and Flynn could be at work right now. Instead, we're doing this. Flynn leans back against his truck a couple yards away, briefly canting his head in Jenna's direction as his name is mentioned. You know, I may be remiss to mention this, but you are all 6 shades of extra bitchy today. Leo stands back, paws on his waist as he takes a deep breath. His eyes have a sheened, bleary quality to them. Anytime Jenna speaks, it seems like he's wrought to near twitching levels of angry. All of Leo's plans to bring everyone together had the opposite effect so far. Do they lock their windows? What? Leo growls. It's not like we're breaking in. TJ's ears are pinned back, a frown on his face. The wolf puts his fist into his forehead, closing his eyes. I think he's just asleep and it shouldn't be too hard to just get in there and wake him up. I look over at the side of the house and see a window well. I point to it. What about that? Too small. I could probably fit. She hops off the front porch and crouches down next to the window, pushing at it. Wait, there's a security sticker here. Jenna hesitates, then pushes at the window again, but it doesn't budge. It's locked. Then try the one above it. That's too high. I think this is going a little too far. I'll boost you up. Think you're strong enough for that? Well, you look like you've lost weight recently. Jenna turns, giving me a quizzical expression. Smooth. She does smile after a moment, looking more bemused than anything. I see her bushy tail flick some behind her. You know, some girls might take that as an insult. Are you one of those set girls? No, I get the meaning of your words, and that's where it's flattering, regardless. Oh, well, good, I guess. What the fuck is happening? I set the cake and figurine down on the gravel and move behind Jenna, cupping my paws together in front of me for her foot. Steadying herself with her paws against the walls of the house, Jenna steps into my paws. Slowly, I push up, feeling my muscles strain beneath my fur. Fucking hell, this is fucking stupid. Especially because you know that there is a key underneath the doormat in the back, which you are conveniently leaving out. There is a light click and I see Jenna pushing open the top window with ease. Good. Now I'm going to try to boost you all the way up, alright? Your arm's doing okay? Yeah, peachy. Her tail flicks again and I get a mouthful of fur. Sorry. Like we're some kind of cheerleading duo, I shove Jenna as high as I can with both paws. She grabs a ledge and I feel the weight burden lift as she dangles against the side of the house. Careful, don't fall. Her bush tail is the last thing we see until she pokes her head back through. Kitchen, I fell in the sink. Okay, unlock the door now. She disappears again and we make our way back to the front door. Leo, why didn't you help? You're the fucking muscle here. If you don't shut your fucking mouth, Flynn, I'm gonna use my muscles and kick you right in your vag. Sound good? Jesus, calm your... Leo turns on him, one foot in front of the other. Flynn shuts up. TJ, meanwhile, has his eyes upon the wall in front of him. Usually, he's all smiles when we're gathered like this, even through the swearing and crude stuff. Right now, though, his eyes just look sort of vacant, like earlier at the mall. Finally, we hear the door rattling and it opens. Called his name, but he didn't answer. Well, he's gotta be here. It's not like he can go anywhere, or would want to. I pick up my stuff and head inside. Carl's house is as massive and as immaculate as I remember it. It is a mansion, after all. Well, maybe less immaculate than I remember. There are a few wrappers and pizza boxes on the marble counter. I assume that's because Carl's parents aren't here to tell him not to be a slob. Flynn immediately heads up the stairs. Yo, Carl! Jenna stands in the kitchen, her paws on her hips as she looks around. Strange being back, isn't it? Like, in general, or... She shrugs. Carl! I hear the others scampering around the house, Leo moving out into the backyard. TJ, meanwhile, checks the garage. She pulls out her cell phone, tapping at it a few times. It is very faint, but I can hear a distant vibrating somewhere in the house. Jenna turns and I follow, stepping past the spacious living room. I didn't know it was possible, but it looks like Carl's parents got an even bigger TV since I was last here. Carl's room looks pretty similar to how I remember it, though usually he makes at least a mild effort to pick up after himself when I'd be coming over. There's so much dirty laundry and trash scattered about I can hardly see the carpet. God, it smells like Leo's glove box in here. I wonder why. Jenna gives me a slight scrunched nose look, pauses, then nods acceptingly. She pulls out her phone, calling Carl's number again. This time, the vibration is much closer, a rattling sound audible as the device vibrates against a wood surface. Still, it sounds kinda muffled. It sounds like it's coming from one of his drawers. Ordinarily, I'd be vehemently against rifling through one's personal stuff, but this is a special circumstance. I'm not going to stop you. Jenna starts pulling open drawers in the dresser while I check out the desk. I feel guilty doing it, but there's a sort of thrill to be had at snooping about like this. I'd start stumbling upon old comics that I'd given Carl myself back when we were kids, the corners dog-eared to all hell. The next drawer looks to be chock full of portable gaming stuff, including all of his cartridges just scattered about. I remember every day on the bus I'd sit next to Carl just to play, because his parents bought him all the expensive devices. I'd always guilt him by saying that he could play it at home whenever he wanted, so he usually let me play the whole ride from Echo to Pate. Find it yet? I blink, then shake my head, checking the next drawer. No, but... Well, that's a fleshlight. A butthole one, too. What? I shut the drawers, trying not to think about it too much. Nothing. Well, I found it. I spin around, moving to Jenna's side. It looks like she's grabbed it from somewhere wedged between Carl's bed and window. Does it have a lock on it? No, it doesn't. Carl's parents have always been really good about respecting privacy, yeah? How fortunate for him. Jenna swipes through the messenger tab, though for some reason now she keeps the screen out of sight of me. Her brow raises at something and she pauses. What? What is it? She quickly shakes her head. Nothing relevant. She returns to tapping about again. I can hear the others still calling for Carl, so I guess they haven't found him yet. Again, she's wrought to pause. Are you going to tell me what it is this time? She stares. So, apparently Carl took a picture last night. There's a disconcerting look in her eyes, which tells me this is different than just another picture of Carl's ass. Okay. She holds up the phone for me to see. Spoopy. I stare at the sunlight reflected upon the ceiling above me. Its pale golden hue has gradually shifted to a more amber tone as dusk nears. We showed up at around, 2-ish? Yeah, usually I would be at work, but I took time off for Leo's party plan. The patter of Flynn's feet is audible behind me as he paces back and forth upon the tile floor. Glancing over the edge of the couch, his gaze is fixed upon the ground in front of him, the phone cupped against the side of his head. What? He's in the kitchen now, using your coffee machine. All of the old gang is here. To repeat, the alarm wasn't armed. Carl usually doesn't set it. We got in through the top window above the kitchen sink. Flynn points towards the aforementioned window despite currently explaining it to the phone. Leo stands motionless in front of the kitchen window facing away from us. Well, Jenna did, then unlocked the front door for the rest of us. Wasn't my idea again. Place is kind of messy, but we didn't see any signs of anything broken into. Jewelry above the bathroom dresser? Give me a sec, I'll check. Speaking of, here she is. Flynn hands the phone off to Jenna before heading upstairs again. She uncrosses her legs and stands up slightly, pausing for a moment as she listens to Carl's father on the other end of the line. Yes, Mr. Hendricks, it has been a while since we've last spoken. 5 or 6 years, actually. I go by Jenna now, yes. Instead of pacing about like Flynn, she moves over towards me. She rests herself against the arm of the couch by my head. Her expression shifts some, but I can't tell much further due to the sun glare coming through the window and the angle she's above me. My brother? Actually, yes. When I went through his phone, it showed that they had texted earlier that... Yes, it does appear Carl was buying weed from him. She's quiet now, listening. I can hear Carl's father on the other end now, meaning his voice is a bit raised. I turn on my side, propping my head up an elbow on the armrest in an attempt to read her expression. Jenna doesn't appear fazed. She doesn't look at me either. Mr. Hendricks. The voice on the other end continues. The high-pitched rasp of Carl's father's voice is still audible a minute later. There's another pause in what he's saying, but Jenna doesn't interject. Finally, there's a pause of around 5 seconds before I can hear a quieter, "Are you still there?" coming through. Yes, Mr. Hendricks. At this time, I'm going to file a missing persons report with the county sheriff's office, citing the image I sent you from Carl's phone. Looking over, Carl's phone sits upon the coffee table, the red-eyed image still displayed. Something about it seems so familiar, yet exactly why escapes me, like fleeting deja vu. It makes me uneasy, even without the context of our current situation, which makes it worse. It hasn't been the minimum of 24 hours, but as you said, the fact that his phone, wallet, and all of your other vehicles are accounted for is worrisome. She waits, listening. I'm going to tell the police that we were given the go-ahead to come and go through the building during the week. If you could confirm that when the sheriff's office calls you, that'd make things easier on us while we keep up the search effort. Do you and Miss Hendricks have any recommendations on that front, regarding where he could have gone off to? She reaches over and I feel her paw ruffle my head scruff. I rouse from my lulled state, blinking up at her. She covers the phone with her free paw, muttering to me, "Hey, wake up! Can you go see if TJ made any progress upstairs?" Oh, yeah, sure thing. Hearing the telltale thuds of Flynn's heavy footsteps gate upon the terracotta stairway, I glance up. He returns, shaking his head. Shit's still there. Jenna nods, seeming to ignore the now strange look that Gilla is giving us. I sit upright. I think Mr. Hendricks is giving us some advice to where to look for him. Jenna again nods in confirmation, though Flynn still peers at us with furrowed brow. Were this any other time, I'd have some shit to say right now. He sighs, nostrils flaring. I lean forward, taking a hold of Carl's phone and peering at the image again, up close. I'm gonna check out some of the messages myself and see if I can find anything. Is this some sort of prank, Carl? I swear to God. From Mom. Where are you? From Leo. Jeremy. We'll have more at the end of April, so have money too. Asshole. Don't fucking understand what this means. Retro Game Shop Premium. Unlock your next exclusive. DLC Superwolf versus blah blah blah. Some gay otter, I don't know. Did you change my name in your phone, you... The cell phone is plucked from my grasp. Flynn standing above me. Jenna and I already looked through that. Now you're just wasting time being a snoopy shit. Flynn's emerald gaze briefly flicks to Jenna, then back down to me. Surprisingly, Jenna nods in agreement, then motions to the upstairs. We got this, Chase. Like I said, go see how TJ's progress is going. She looks to Flynn with a sort of stern, knowing expression before responding to something on the phone. Well, the convenience store is a few miles from here. Does he usually walk that far? My cheeks burn at the scolding and I race to stand. Turning to leave, I can still see Leo standing unmoving in the kitchen. He's like a photograph, a still image silhouetted in contrast to the fading sun through the window. It's weird. Usually Leo is the one who jumps into action with this sort of situation, Or at least, he did when we were kids. De facto group leader and whatnot. Now though, since we found out Carl was missing a couple hours ago, he's been pretty resigned. Hell, Flynn and Jenna have been the ones coordinating everything so far. He glances over his shoulder, the first bit of movement I've seen him do in about 15 minutes. I can see his red eyes from here. He's staring right at me. I find myself walking over despite myself, Flynn and Jenna busy talking with Mr. Hendricks over the speakerphone now. I enter the kitchen and approach him. Hey. Yo. A silence lingers between us. So, Carl. Yeah. You know where he might be? Uh-huh, of course. I'm just not telling anybody, because I like all the quality time we're having here, eh? Leo, this is serious. Jenna's about to call the sheriff. Yeah? Good. 2 birds with 1 stone. He holds up his phone, a notification on his screen that I can't quite read. Got a call from Mariana back at my parents' house. The police were checking to see if I was there. What? My brow raises. I try to study Leo's expression, but he's stony as all hell right now, his jaw set in a near constant grit. Familyplex got the plates from the security camera things in the parking lot, I'm guessing. I sigh, rubbing my forehead. I'm about to open my mouth and say something, though I catch a sort of strange, empty look in Leo's eyes that brings me to pause. I decide against my scolding and instead move beside him, taking one of Carl's mugs and pouring him myself a cup of coffee from the coffee maker. It's one of those fancy ones that has an espresso maker built in, and a weave basket next to the machine has at least 30 different flavor cups. The flavors are mostly dessert-based, with labels like salted caramel, frosted oatmeal cookie, cinnamon churro, and the truffle sundae. They sound pretty damn delicious. As far as I know, Carl only drinks energy drinks and usually obscene quantities of them. After taking a sip, the bitter scald hits my tongue and I find myself reflexively reeling before getting a chance to swallow. Despite having all these choices available, it looks like Leo went straight for black. Leo's gaze shifts back to me and I see him perk a white brow. Damn fine cup of coffee, eh, chula? I manage to swallow without sputtering too much, putting on a slight artsy flair to my tone. Black as the moonless eve at midnight, just how I like it. He smiles, though it's a visibly pained expression, which he obscures behind his own cup as he drinks. I bet at the university all you drink are those rainbow frappuccinos I saw on the news. I remember when those came out. My dorm is by the library and the coffee shop in there was selling them. The line was insane and they sold out super quick. My friend Vincent, he's a barista there. He tells me it's just mango juice sprinkled with whipped cream, frappe syrup, and food coloring. Oh, that same Vincent from all those photos you've been uploading recently, yeah? The other wolf guy? I can see where this is going from a mile away. I take another drink of my coffee despite the bitterness. I mean, the pictures, they just pop up on my timeline, yeah? I keep seeing them pop up. Yeah, same guy. Ah, I hear ya. There's a pause and I change the subject. Are you gonna turn yourself into the sheriff? Not yet. He responds quickly. Gotta find Carl, and I think a wolf who's known the horned fucker his whole life can sniff him out better than some overpaid mall cop, eh? Will be more trouble for you if Sheriff Malco, assuming that's who's still in charge, finds you first. Leo sighs with a frustrated, gravelly rasp, his gaze flicking down to the kitchen floor. You sound like Jenna. It's probably because what she's saying makes sense. The wolf looks up, his bug-eyed gaze focused upon me as if he were searching for something. This damn get-together has gone more badly than I could have ever predicted, you know. I nod, not disagreeing with that sentiment in the slightest. First Flynn at the river, then that shit at the familyplex, and now Carl's nowhere to be found. This may all be the worst shit, yeah? But I wouldn't ever be able to forgive myself if I gave up the last chance I had to ever spend time with you guys again, you know? He sets his coffee down, his paws gripping the back of the countertop. Leo, come on. We'll see each other again. You don't know that. Jenna's moving all the way to the East Coast. TJ's out of the country, probably. And you? After what happened at the familyplex, you probably don't want to see me ever again either, eh? There's a serious intensity to the cadence of his voice, as if something is practically choking him as he speaks those last few words. The air even feels weird. I think for a moment about what to say, still processing Leo's response. Looking around, I spot an old black beanie hanging up on the coat rack by the door, and I remember something. Carl once told me something back when I said you were becoming too cool for us in high school, with football and stuff. You know, back when you stopped riding the bus and just spent all your time after school at practice with the jock kids. He said that after all the shit that you've been through, none of the present, petty drama stuff matters, yeah? I mean, sure, I'm kinda skeeved, but it doesn't mean I hate you forever. You just hate me temporarily then? I sigh. You still haven't even said sorry or anything, man. Why would I say sorry when it's fucking Jenna who showed up and ruined everything? Yeah. Are you serious? I told you to fuck off too. Why? Why? Jesus Christ, man. You were grinding on me 15 feet away from the fucking kitty corner. You used to do all that sort of horny stuff to me all the time. Now you're different. He gesticulates with a swirling motion towards me, using both of his paws. Well, I guess I am. That's sort of the point about why it's fucked up. Leo blinks, his shoulders raised high. He begins to speak faster and with more of his old accent seeping through. You didn't even tell me you was as uncomfy or nothing. You just told me straight up to fuck off. It felt appropriate at the time, man. This is why I didn't want you to leave Echo, Otter. It isn't like things were great between you and I before I left either. Because Jenna got to you. What are you talking about? We had it all planned out. A house, a car, a job waiting for you at my dad's shop. The life we talked about since we were little. Then Jenna started talking to you about Pueblo and how you should go. To hell with all this hick trash. We're better than them, yeah? Leo. And then she came up with that fucking prank. I see his fist shake. Instantly I know what he's talking about. You broke my phone. You broke my heart, Puchica. For fuck's sake, shut up! Flynn steps into the kitchen and I realize I can still hear the faint sound of Jenna on the phone with Mr. Hendricks in the other room. While you two fuckers are having a domestic, Carl's getting reamed by the Mothman. Or whatever the fuck that red-eyed shit is on his phone. Leo steps forward, his jowls curled back into a snarl. Get out of here, Flynn. Surprisingly, Flynn holds his ground. The lizard squeezes his fists against his chest and stomach as Leo approaches, reflexively defending himself in case swung upon. We don't have time for this shit. Leo stares hard at him, his shoulders raised and his fur bristling. Flynn flinches some. It reminds me of how Leo acted towards him at the river, and I'm starting to wonder if this is how Leo treats Flynn when we're not here. Leo, what the hell are you doing? Calm down, alright? I'm still fuming from what Leo said, but even now I know his bickering is petty in contrast to the problem at hand. A solid 10 seconds of silence pass, neither of the two tall figures budging an inch. Finally, Leo steps forward, shoulder checking Flynn, hard enough that he stumbles back against the wall. Gonna find Carl myself. Flynn sputters angrily, Leo muttering some strings of swears as he heads towards the door. At least tell me where you're going to look so we know where not to go. Leo pauses, his hands on the door handle. Danica Street to Elizabeth Road, south to north. Great, good luck. The door slams behind me, and the heavy stomps of his feet on the gravel outside. He's gone. I look down and realize that I'm shaking. Even it had been years, an argument like that with someone who basically defined my childhood and teenage years has a way of hurting deep. That stupid fucking prank. I try to refocus, making my way over towards the knocked over Flynn and offering him my paw. You okay, man? He glares at me for a second, then takes my grasp and pulls himself up. The lizard weighs a ton, though nearly pulling me down with him. Just go help TJ already, gonna check the basement again. He dusts off the front and begins fiddling with his shirt collar, walking off towards the stairwell before I can respond. Through the window I can see Leo outside. He's down the roads a ways, past his van. He's talking to someone. I see the figure he's talking to points towards the house we're in, and Leo crosses his arms. It can't be the sheriff already, can it? Moving to the window, I get a closer look. I can see that the figure is a weasel. Duke. Jesus, I haven't seen him in years. I used to see him around on the porch a lot back when I visited Leo's place near daily. As far as I remember, he was the loner type, occasionally getting involved with civic stuff and the mayor. I have a vague memory of him being married to a younger lady when I was a kid, but I don't remember seeing her after first grade. His interactions with me were always pretty brief, not much to judge a personality by. Now, though, he's pointing at the house, speaking loudly, though I can't discern what he's saying. Leo looks angrier, his tail stiff. Despite the range, I can practically feel the old fellow's gaze shifting, meeting mine through the window. His pointing hand shifts, now aimed directly at me. I reflexively blink, stepping back. When my eyes refocus, there's a plume of dust in the air. Duke is on his back in the middle of the dirt road, and Leo is quickly marching back towards his van. What the hell? Duke is already back to his feet, sprinting now away from Carl's house, his mouth still moving. He's saying something. Leo's van peels out the driveway, gravel kicking up in its wake. Within a few seconds, he's out of sight as well. Jesus. I walk over to the door, locking it once again, just to be safe. Left alone, I head out of the kitchen. As I walk past the living room, I overhear the low rasp of Flynn's voice, his tone serious. And then the fucker shoved me. You said he was pulling this shit at the mall too? I talked to Chase if you wanted more details. To think he just had to pick this day of all days to fucking snap. Flynn rubs the tip of his snout. His slitted eyes narrow until they spot me. Then he just looks back to Jenna. Let's call Malco now. Right. Flynn begins to dial for the sheriff. Jenna looks towards the door, then to me. We'll talk later, Chase, okay? If you want, of course. And pause, having been about to head upstairs. Oh yeah, sure thing. She smiles at me despite everything. So yes. It seems that Leo is acting a little stranger than usual. You know, I mean, he's always aggressive and like, Leo, you guys are getting in the way of my order. But now he's being a little bit more aggressive than usual. Also, apparently Carl is really missing this time. Not only that, but he apparently saw something outside, which he took a picture of. I wonder what that could be. I mean, I already know what that is, but still. Anyways, if you want to play any of the Echo Project games, there will be links in the description. And feel free to support them on Patreon, where you will also find the early builds for these stories. And you will also find short stories that pertain to the characters of Echo. And I think all of them have a short story. But yeah. Thank you for watching / listening, and we will try to continue this. See, today's Wednesday, on Friday. Yes, because I'm trying to stretch out Jenna's route since it's not completed yet. Hopefully completed maybe by next month. Fingers crossed. But yes. Well, bye-bye for now.